Now we will discuss different provisions from CRPC and PPC as regards discharge, release and acquittal of the accused, and that is ordered by the criminal court in the first instance. Discharge, release or acquittal of the accused is made by the criminal code either during inquiry, trial, remand or challan. The provisions will be discussed from CRPC and PPC as section 63, 167, 169, 173, 249 and 249 as CRPC, 345 CRPC and section 310 PPC. In the first instance, we will see whether discharge or release order of the accused by the magistrate in the process of remand period or at the time of challan is either administrative order or judicial order. This is very important for you. I must tell you that the magistrate is equipped with powers to exercise jurisdiction in releasing or discharging the accused in his administrative capacity, and for which sometimes there is no any provision of law, but magistrate exercise that power and jurisdiction within his jurisdictional domain as is conferred upon him by the legislature. CRPC is silent in that perspective, but other statutes are there which inter alia provides that magistrate can exercise his jurisdiction and power in discharging or releasing the accused on its administrative side. In the first instance, we will discuss section 63 of the CRPC. Under section 63 CRPC, when it is found by the police officer that there is no any incriminating evidence against the accused and accusation falls flat at the very outset, and there is no likelihood of producing the accused before the court for either remand or challan purpose, then it is power of the police officer to discharge the accused under section 63 CRPC. Similarly, if police does not exercise its power and decline to the accused, then very much latitude is provided to the accused to invoke the jurisdiction of the magistrate, and magistrate, after appreciating the innocence of accused, can exercise the same powers as that of police officer in discharging the accused under section 63 CRPC. It is provided under the law as per section 61 CRPC that as soon as accused is apprehended by the police on any accusation, he is to be kept in custody for 24 hours so that accusation whatever may be collected from the accused, and in case if it is found that more accusation is well founded and the time of 24 hours expires, then the provisions of section 167 CRPC will be invoked, whereby the accused will be taken by the police to a nearby magistrate who will grant the remand to accused after getting satisfied that accusation is well founded or further incriminating evidence whatever that is in stock with accused and that is to be gathered in the process of investigation by the police and that is possible in the process of remand. But sometimes it happens that magistrate during the course of remand comes to the conclusion that the involvement of the accused does not warrant in any way and the innocence of accused is established before the magistrate, and in these circumstances it is within the competency and jurisdiction of the magistrate to discharge the accused or release the accused even in the process of remand period. That order of the magistrate while discharging the accused during remand period amounts to administrative order. It is not judicial order. Now, for the sake of this debate and discussion, I must distinguish what is the practical distinction between administrative order and judicial order. You see that law has conferred or entrusted jurisdiction upon the magistrate. Within CRPC, the magistrate will exercise his powers and do each and everything as per provision of CRPC. But his power of the magistrate commences as soon as the challan is submitted before the magistrate. When FIR is lodged within meaning of section 154 CRPC, law has prescribed that 14 days time accused will remain in custody with police in case if there is likelihood that accusation is well founded, and for that provisions provided under section 167 CRPC whereby magistrate will grant remand to the police as police custody for 14 days either in full or portions. Generally, magistrates do not grant this remand period in full, but it is granted in portions, 3 days, 4 days or 5 days, and that is not a legal requirement, but there are citations of the superior courts whereby it is demanded that a remand period shall not be granted in full for 14 days, as there may be some watch and surveillance of the court upon the accused as and when he is produced before the court for the purpose of remand, in order to ensure that accused is not subject to any maltreatment or cruelty or any torture at the hands of police. When 14 days time lapses and entire formalities of the challan are completed, then police submits final report before the court, and as soon as the final report is presented, the magistrate takes cognizance with acceptance of the report. It means after accepting the challan, magistrate takes cognizance, and before that magistrate does not exercise his jurisdiction or any power. During the process, the accused is lying in custody with police. It is emphatically clear that during the remand period, the challan is not before the court, but magistrate passes the order granting the remand in portions under section 167 CRPC, irrespective of the fact magistrate has not taken cognizance. FIR is there and challan has not been presented before the court, and general presumptions are that sometimes it happens that FIR is cancelled, sometimes it happens that cases challaned in A class, B class or C class, means that FIR has no legal value, no legality, no propriety. Therefore, magistrate will not take cognizance on the basis of FIR which is lying in his court. Similarly, when challan is presented, magistrate assumes jurisdiction and then entire recourse of the CRPC is commenced from section 241A CRPC and onwards with regard to supplying of the copies of documents to the accused, framing of the charge, etc. Now what happens, this is very important and you must concentrate on this point, that magistrate under section 167 CRPC during exercising his power in granting remand comes to the conclusion that involvement of the accused is derogatory or not in accordance with in any way either that is deemed fit or appropriate by the magistrate, but that should be within consonance or four corners of the law. Consequently, magistrate passes the order and discharge the accused from the alleged criminal transaction of the charged offence while exercising his power under section 167 CRPC, irrespectively he has not taken cognizance in the matter. Since he has not taken cognizance in the matter, therefore the order of the magistrate is taken to be calculated as an administrative order. After the charge, if a magistrate passes the order, then the legality and propriety of that order may be otherwise. But before taking cognizance, if magistrate passes any order, then that order will be taken to be calculated as an administrative order. Another order of the magistrate, that is release of the accused or discharge the bond of the accused, comes under section 173 subsection 3 CRPC. This provision of law is followed by the proposition of section 169 CRPC, whereby it is exclusively, purely prerogative and power of the police officer in the course of investigation to release the accused after finding that there is no accusation against the accused established in the process of investigation before him. Consequently, police officer comes to the conclusion that accused may be released and he passes the order of release and release the accused, however, as a token formality within the four corners of law and requirement of section 169. He calls the accused to execute a PR bond in the sum of rupees whatever may be as per satisfaction of the police officer, so that he will present challan in either C class or in any other provision of law, and if a magistrate is not satisfied with the production of that challan, then the accused will be summoned before the magistrate on the basis of that PR bond. Anyway, if magistrate is satisfied with the purport of the police as regards release of the accused by the police, then as per section 173 subsection 3, magistrate will discharge the bond and that case of the accused completes in its entirety and accused let off from the alleged accusation and criminal charge. You see that after 173, another provision comes, that is under section 249 CRPC. Under section 249 CRPC, it is exclusive power of the magistrate to release the accused at any stage of the trial without pronouncing judgment. Normally it happens when magistrate calls the witnesses and despite repeated issuance of summons, the witnesses do not turn up before the court, then ultimately magistrate comes to the conclusion that the PWs, means prosecution witnesses, will not turn up hereinafter if the process may be repeated, and issuance of the process in these circumstances would tantamount as abuse of the process of court, rather harassment of the accused, and consequently magistrate finds it appropriate to stop proceedings in the case without passing any final order as to acquittal or judgment. The prosecution is warned that the case has been closed, accused released. However, prosecution can get the case opened as and when the witnesses are made present before the court. That order of the court is not complete in its entirety and can be revived at any time as and when the witnesses are before the court. Then court will call the witness again, because magistrate does not release the accused in its finality, but subject to condition that as and when the attendance of the accused is required before the court, he will be summoned and called accordingly. Another provision of the acquittal of the accused. Now, I told you discharge of the accused, release of the accused, and now acquittal of the accused within meaning of section 249A CRPC. Under section 249A CRPC, it is provided that when magistrate comes to the conclusion after submission of the challan or before or after framing of the charge that the accusation is established against the accused within four corners of the police charge sheet is not sufficient to warrant conviction against the accused, rather charge framed against the accused is groundless and there is no probability of the accused being convicted of the said charge, then that magistrate acquits the accused at any stage of the trial, even without framing of the charge. Now you see that we discussed the provisions section 63, section 167 CRPC, section 169 CRPC, section 173 CRPC, 249 and 249 CRPC, and under these provisions sometimes the accused is discharged by the police and accused is discharged by the court, and in some cases accused is released by the court, and in last case 249A accused was acquitted by the court. Another provision that is also 345 CRPC, but we will take this provision in our next part of the lecture, because 345 CRPC will apply as and when the evidence is recorded. In all those provisions as referred by me, no charge was framed and no evidence was recorded, but on the basis of groundless charge or innocence of the accused established either before the police officer or before the magistrate, the accused was either discharged or released by the police officer or magistrate. Now in next part of our lecture, we will discuss that what shall be fate of those orders under which the police officer or court has ordered either release or discharge or acquittal of the accused, and what are the appropriate remedy provided under the law.